What's up, chicken nuggets? This is Isaiah from Fried Chicken and Rice bringing you Game 2 of ReshiBoar versus MewGar, my bad. So we are shuffling up and getting ready to go, and I want to use this time to say that we're going to improve the quality of our narrations on matches and take your guys' suggestions to heart and try and make this be the best experience that you can get out of our matches and such. So yeah, we're doing a lot of shuffling and then eventually cut. I'm over there with the Shikamaru Naruto mat, and Tyler's over there with the Heart Gold Soul Silver playmat. So I start with one Pokemon and Tyler starts with one as well. We obviously start with 6, and I believe I get to go first because he calls Tails. I go for Collector, and Collector lets me search for 3 basics, so I search for a Vulpix, a Reshiram, and a Cleffa. The Cleffa is a proxy, but essentially it has 30 HP, a Poke Power that says if it's asleep you can't deal damage to him, and then his attack shuffles your hand into your deck to draw 6, and then puts him to sleep. So I put them on the bench, and I believe here I'm thinking that I probably had a good hand, so I wanted to keep Tepig out there and instead just get an energy on Reshiram. So I believe I just attach an energy to Reshiram and pass, because I don't really need a Cleffa yet. So that's what I do, and I believe I pass it over to Tyler. And Tyler's obviously going to try and set up his Mews, try and get a Gengar into the Lost Zone so he can start using Hurl into Darkness with Mew. And so he drops a Ghastly and goes for the Calm, which I believe he uses to get, well, I would get a Mew, but I don't know what he gets. Pokemon Calm basically lets you swap a Pokemon from your hand for another one in the deck. And he gets a Mr. Mime. Okay, that's even better. Mr. Mime lets you, both you and your opponent reveal your hands. And that's really good for this matchup, so you know what your opponent has, if you want to Hurl into Darkness or not. So during my turn, I believe I evolve straight into Ninetales, and then I discard a Fire Energy to draw 3, which is Ninetales' Poke Power. And then I attach and retreat Tepig into Cleffa, and evolve into Pignite. So I'm starting to get set up. Once this deck gets set up, it really just goes to town, especially on a deck like this. So I'm trying my hardest to set up. I discard my hand for Juniper, and that really gets the deck going. So I drop a Vulpix down, and I believe I Hurl into Darkness. I believe I use Cleffa's attack to shuffle in. Eek. I use Eek, and so that passes over to Tyler. But I believe I have to see whether I'm still awake or not, because between turns you have to check for sleep. And he just draws. He doesn't need to wait for me to do all that stuff. It doesn't really matter. So I flip and get head, so I'm awake, which is actually pretty good for me because he can't really do like direct damage to me anyway, so I want to stay awake and not get screwed over. So he goes for the candy, evolves into Gengar, and goes straight for the Hurl of Darkness. And gets from my Emboar, which really sucks because I had a Pignite on the bench and everything, so that makes it a little harder on me. If I could have gotten the Emboar out, I probably could have started attacking much sooner than I did, so that really hurt. I dropped the Reshiram. I believe I dropped the Reshiram because I either don't want him to Hurl into Darkness it, since I only really need 1, or I believe I go for the Juniper anyway, so might as well drop it down. So I attach another energy to Reshiram just to get it set up. I believe I just go straight away for 20 on Mew because damage is cool. It really wouldn't have mattered because I know next turn anyway I'm just going to go for the 120, but my hand was probably too good to eke away anyway. I believe here I'm thinking about what I want to use as fodder. Fodder for either Junk Arm, or it has to be Junk Arm, or maybe Juniper, yeah. Seeing if any of my hands were valuable enough to keep, and I believe it wasn't, so I go for the Juniper and get 7 new cards. Because Juniper lets you discard your hand and draw 7 new cards. So I believe I should go for the 20 and pass it over to Tyler. And 20, oops. pretty sure I see a calm in his hand. He uses Mr. Mime, or I think he goes straight for the Hurl into Darkness because he got rid of the Pokemon immediately. And I go for Collector and Calm at the same time. Collector lets me search for 3 basics, Calm lets me swap one out, so I just play down the Calm anyway and just search for 2 basics and one of any Pokemon since I'm going to switch it out anyway. I get my Emboar, which is great. I can finally start doing consistent damage if I have the energy, because Emboar lets me attach as many fire energy as I want to my Pokemon. And I go straight for the Roast Reveal with Ninetales to draw 3 new cards, and I believe at this point I start getting things going. I attach an energy, and I believe I can take out the Mew, which is exactly what I do. And I take the first prize. He goes out into Gengar, and I believe he attaches an energy and just goes straight for the Hurl. I'm pretty sure he might go for the Trick Reveal first, just to make sure I have a Pokemon. And he goes for Hurl, and he gets rid of a Cleffa, which is fine with me. So I I calm away the other Cleffa and get a Ninetales and evolve my Vulpix into Ninetales, and at this point I'm pretty much fully set up. I've got 2 Ninetales, an Emboar, 2 Reshiroms, and I'm pretty sure I had a good amount of energy, so at this point I just go to town. Roast Reveal, Energy Retrieval to get 2 energy back, and then I believe I attach those to Reshiram. I also need to figure out a way to one-shot the Gengar, so I have a plus power which does 10 extra damage, so instead of 120 I'll do 130, which is enough to knock out the Gengar, and that's huge. So all he's got left is Mr. Mime, but he luckily has a Pokemon Collector, for which he goes for a Ghastly, a Smeargle, and I want to say a Mew. He goes for a Mew. And at this point I believe he's going to want to find a way to retreat the Mr. Mime into the Mew so he can keep hurling into darkness. Otherwise, he's going to end up behind. But he ends up not wanting the Ghastly, so he just gets a second Mew, which is a good idea. He really didn't need the Ghastly. Mew is just much more consistent with hurling into darkness, while Ghastly, you need to rare candy into Gengar to set up. So he drops them all down, and I believe here he goes for the Trick Reveal. Let's see what I have. I have a piece of RDL in my hand, which I'm pretty sure he wants to get rid of, but looks like he just passes a turn, which kind of hurt him in the end. That makes him become a turn behind. 3 Pokemon in the Lost Zone is kind of like getting 3 prizes for him, so it's like I've taken 1 and he's taken 3, but at this point I can come up to 2 compared to his 3 that are in the Lost Zone. So at this point I believe he goes for the Smeargle, and then I believe Ponce, because I have Pont in my hand, to get 6 new cards, because Smeargle's Poke Power lets him use one of the supporters in my hand as this Pokemon's Poke Power. So he draws his 6 new cards and attaches an energy to Mew, and I want to say he has a switch. Yeah, he has a switch, and goes for the Hurl to get rid of my piece of RDL. No, I guess he doesn't do that yet, but oh, okay, I guess he does. So that's 1 set of RDL out of the way. So, but I didn't really need it in the end anyway, so I didn't really mind. RDL is just kind of something for other matches. So I get the Retrieval, attached to 2 energies, pawn away my hand because it's probably not very good, and then I believe I'm just going to Blue Flare for knockout. And at this point, I believe I've only taken 5 prizes compared to his 4 in the Lost Zone, which isn't good for me. However, if I can get rid of all my Pokemon, I'll be solid. So I calm away the Pignite, and now I've got no more Pokemon left in my hand. It's really important that you make sure that you have no Pokemon in hand at all times against this deck, because, yeah, it's kind of the win condition for that deck is getting Pokemon in the Lost Zone. So he goes out to his other Mew, and he goes for Twins. Twins is a pretty solid card. If you're behind in prizes, you get any 2 cards out of your deck. The deck never ever takes prizes, so it's like an instant 2 for that deck, which is really, really sick. I'm not 100% sure on what he takes with the Twins, but I guess we'll find out. He changes his mind on 1 card, which is interesting, but I think he gets that Spiritomb so he can, I don't remember the name of the power, but it makes me shuffle my hand into my deck and draw 6 new cards. That way he can try and get Pokemon in my hand that he can use for Hurl into Darkness. He drops down another Mew, that's a proxy for Mew Prime. He attaches an energy to Mew, and I believe he goes straight away for the Hurl after that. And I have no Pokemon, which is pretty great. But I do have 2 Junipers and a Pont, which is kind of redundant, but whatever. So I believe I had a Junk Arm, or I top deck in a Junk Arm, and at this point I'm going to Junk Arm for energy retrieval to get 2 energy back, so I can Blue Flare this Mew off too. So that's what I do. Get the 2 energy, Inferno Fandango the energy after I get them to the Reshiram, and go straight away for 120. So 120, Mew's gone, I take a prize, he brings up Smeargle. Since he knows I have supporters in my hand, I'm pretty sure he's going to take advantage of that, use up his hand, and then use Smeargle's ability to use the Juniper that's in my hand. But due to the fact that I see him discarding a Juniper and trying to get rid of his hand, I want to say he has another Juniper in hand. He grabs a Switch and goes straight away for the ability of Smeargle, but he realizes he doesn't want to do it yet, so he goes for Juniper first. Gets 7 cards, uses up his hand, and then he's going to go for it for real, and then use my Juniper to get 7 more cards, which is really, really freaking good. So he does that, gets 7 new cards, and I believe he either top decks a Junk Arm or a Switch, because if he gets Junk Arm, he can get the Switch from his discard pile in order to switch Smeargle out to his Mew on the bench, and so he gets the Switch and goes for Hurl into Darkness. Either that or he goes for the Trickery. Oh, he doesn't have Mr. Mime, so I guess he can't. So he really has to guess. But he goes for the Spiritomb. I have to shuffle my hand in my deck and draw 6. But he probably could have guessed that I had no Pokemon in hand anyways, because last turn I didn't have any Pokemon in hand. So I shuffle my hand in my deck, get 6 new cards, and I believe I do end up getting a Pokemon in my hand, which really sucked. Yeah, I had a Pignite. The Pokemon itself didn't matter, but he only needs 1 more and he wins. So I believe he scoops just because I have 2 energy in hand. I only need 1 more prize left, and that's the game. Rate, comment, subscribe, you guys, and see you later.